Ever wondered which country's rank as the dirtiest in the world? While India takes the third spot, the country in first and second places faces even harsher realities. Imagine a place where 1,500 people share a single toilet, and women are forced to defecate on the streets. The capital city is often labeled the cesspool of the earth, with streets so filthy there's barely a clean spot to step on. Vast fields devastated by oil spills, even worse than Chernobyl, leave the land barren and lifeless. For many, even the most basic survival needs can't be met. The world is full of wonders, but today, let's dive into the 10 dirtiest countries that struggle with extreme pollution and poor sanitation. Haiti is a nation grappling with garbage. Our journey takes us first to Haiti, a Caribbean nation known for its vibrant culture and sadly, its extreme poverty. In cities like Port-au-Prince, garbage collection is insufficient, leaving streets littered with trash. Many rural and informal settlements have no waste management infrastructure, leading residents to burn or dump waste, worsening pollution and health risks. Access to clean water is scarce, with many communities relying on contaminated sources. Sewage often mixes with water supplies, leading to outbreaks of waterborne diseases like cholera and typhoid fever. Frequent earthquakes, hurricanes, and floods damage already fragile infrastructure, spreading waste and worsening public health crises. Recovery is often slow due to financial and political challenges. While efforts by the government and international organizations aim to improve waste management and sanitation, progress is slow, and continued support is crucial for Haiti's environmental health. Saudi Arabia, one of the world's wealthiest nations, faces significant environmental challenges despite its economic power. As a Middle Eastern economic giant, it hosts numerous industrial enterprises and factories which produce large amounts of waste gas, wastewater, and solid waste. While the country has taken steps toward environmental management, weak regulatory enforcement, domestic corruption, and a severe lack of water resources hinder effective pollution control. The country's natural environment also plays a significant role in its pollution woes. Saudi Arabia's arid climate and vast deserts make it prone to frequent sandstorms, which carry dust and harmful substances that damage vegetation and pose health risks to humans. However, the most fundamental cause of pollution in Saudi Arabia is its dependency on fossil fuels and the extraction activities that support this. As the world's largest oil producer, Saudi Arabia's fossil fuel extraction, processing, and usage generate significant pollutants. The country also heavily relies on seawater desalination to meet its freshwater needs, a process that consumes vast amounts of energy from oil and natural gas, contributing to severe air pollution. Additionally, the desalination process discharges high concentrations of brine and industrial wastewater back into the ocean, harming marine ecosystems. In recent years, environmental issues have intensified in Saudi Arabia, leading to extreme heat waves that have hospitalized and even claimed the lives of thousands. In response, the government has been pouring resources into potential high-tech solutions, including ambitious projects that recruit foreign technical experts to address these challenges. However, whether these initiatives can effectively mitigate the country's environmental problems remains uncertain. Nigeria, one of the world's largest oil producers, boasts diverse terrain ranging from the Hausa highlands in the north to the fertile plains and coastal regions in the south. The country is rich in natural resources, with around 44 types of commercially valuable minerals, and oil and natural gas are the most significant among them. Nigeria's fertile lands also support developed agriculture, where crops can be harvested up to 3 times a year. However, the extraction of oil has turned parts of Nigeria into some of the most polluted areas in the world. Oil spills have plagued Nigeria since the 1970s, with incidents becoming increasingly frequent as oil extraction activities grew. From 2011 to 2021 alone, the Niger Delta experienced 9,870 oil spill incidents, releasing approximately 466,000 barrels of oil. One of the most tragic incidents occurred on October 18, 1998, in Jesse Village near Lagos, when a damaged oil pipeline caused a massive explosion and fire, killing 1,098 people. Investigations revealed that the pipeline was deliberately sabotaged, and many victims were found holding tools and containers used for stealing oil. The disaster destroyed thousands of acres of once fertile land, leaving lasting scars on the community. Another major spill happened in 2011 when a Shell oil platform in the Niger Delta released approximately 40,000 barrels of oil into the Atlantic Ocean, affecting 168,000 people across 350 communities in Bayelsa State. The incident drew international attention and resulted in hefty fines for Shell. However, the environmental damage remains largely irreparable, further devastating the already compromised Niger Delta region. Long-term oil spills have severely impacted Nigeria's environment and the health of its residents. The leaked oil contaminates soil, water sources, and the air, leading to ecosystem imbalance and a decline in biodiversity. Toxic substances and carcinogens from these spills are linked to dire health outcomes for locals. The average life expectancy in the Niger Delta is just 41 years, 10 years lower than the national average, underscoring the grave consequences of ongoing pollution in the region. Tajikistan, a mountainous country in Central Asia, faces significant sanitation and environmental challenges due to outdated infrastructure, poor waste management, and limited access to clean water, especially in rural areas. Waste management in Tajikistan is poorly developed, with insufficient garbage collection services, especially in remote regions. Much of the waste is dumped in open areas, causing severe pollution. Many areas lack proper landfills, and trash often ends up in rivers or is burned, releasing toxic fumes. Access to safe drinking water is a major issue, particularly in rural areas. Water sources are often contaminated by untreated sewage, agricultural runoff, and industrial waste. Poor sanitation facilities exacerbate water pollution, leading to frequent outbreaks of waterborne diseases such as typhoid and dysentery. The country's steep terrain makes it prone to landslides and floods, which often wash waste into water sources and destroy already inadequate sanitation facilities. While the government, aided by international organizations, is working to improve water and sanitation infrastructure, progress is hampered by limited resources and ongoing environmental challenges. Sustainable development and continued international support are crucial to improving Tajikistan's sanitation and public health. Somalia is often associated with piracy, but what's lesser known is that many Somali pirates turned to piracy out of sheer necessity. Originally, they were honest fishermen and farmers whose livelihoods were devastated by severe pollution. Although Somalia's poverty and instability stem from ongoing civil conflict, the war alone did not render fishing and farming impossible. Instead, the rise of Somali piracy is directly linked to harmful actions by Western countries. In the 1980s, as nuclear energy was gaining momentum, European energy giants and the mafia found a cheap solution for disposing of nuclear waste: Somalia's poorly regulated waters. Taking advantage of Somalia's lack of maritime enforcement, they dumped hundreds of tons of nuclear waste into the country's coastal waters. The devastating impact of this illegal dumping was immediate and catastrophic. Radiation sickness spread among Somali fishermen. Once thriving fishing grounds were poisoned, and fields became wastelands, littered with deformed wildlife and contaminated soil. The pollution has left a scarred landscape where radiation-damaged children have become an all-too-common sight. Efforts to clean up the mess have been hampered by the lack of precise information about where the waste was dumped. And to make matters worse, since the initial dumping, international ships have continued to use Somali waters as a dumping ground for wastewater, oils, and other hazardous substances, further disrupting the marine ecosystem and annihilating Somalia's already struggling fisheries. Some companies, seeking to cut costs, have even resorted to directly dumping garbage and waste into the ocean, exacerbating an already dire situation. With their livelihoods destroyed and no other options available, many desperate Somali fishermen turn to piracy as a means of survival. They are often vilified by the world, but their story is a stark reminder of how environmental destruction and exploitation can drive people to extreme measures when left with no other options. India, often portrayed as a vibrant and powerful nation, is also recognized as the world's largest democracy. However, it holds another, less flattering title: one of the dirtiest countries in the world. India's pollution and sanitation issues are pervasive, affecting all aspects of life. Before the rise of the internet, many people, especially from China and Japan, viewed India as an exotic and spiritual destination, being the birthplace of Buddhism. But upon visiting, travelers often find a starkly different reality. Instead of serene landscapes and bustling holy sites, they are met with overcrowded streets, unusual foods, and poor sanitation. the air in many places can be filled with a stench reminiscent of a giant public toilet. According to the World Health Organization, India ranks among the 10 most polluted countries globally. Major cities like New Delhi, Kolkata, and Mumbai are frequently rated as some of the most polluted in the world, with smog and industrial waste affecting air quality daily. The Ganges and Yamuna rivers, both vital to millions, are among the world's most polluted rivers, laden with sewage, industrial runoff, and toxic chemicals. Sanitation is a critical issue, with only 46.9% of India's 250 million households having their own toilets. At least 600 million Indians lack access to proper sanitation facilities and often resort to open defecation, contributing to environmental and health hazards. In the poorest slums, up to 1,500 people may share a single toilet. These unsanitary conditions are a breeding ground for infectious diseases like dengue fever, hepatitis, malaria, and the Nipah virus, making disease outbreaks almost routine. Beyond toilets, India's public facilities also suffer. The sewage system, for example, is woefully inadequate, often overwhelmed by the annual monsoon rains, leading to severe flooding. Each year, these floods result in casualties, and the government struggles to manage the aftermath, often failing to relocate victims or deal with bodies promptly. Major epidemics frequently follow these disasters, worsening the public health crisis. The Indian government has recognized these problems and made efforts to improve conditions through education and infrastructure initiatives. However, the country's strong regional independence complicates the implementation of national policies. The central government often struggles to enforce directives at the state level, delaying progress in India's much-needed sanitation revolution. Pakistan, a country known for its diverse culture and significant geopolitical position, faces severe challenges in sanitation and environmental health. One of the most pressing issues in Pakistan is the lack of effective waste management. In major cities like Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad, the municipal waste management systems are overwhelmed by the volume of waste produced. In many neighborhoods, waste is either dumped in open areas or burned, leading to air and soil pollution. Access to clean drinking water remains a critical concern in Pakistan. Many regions, particularly rural areas, rely on contaminated water sources for daily needs. Rivers, lakes, and groundwater are frequently polluted with industrial effluents, agricultural runoff, and untreated sewage, which severely compromises water quality. Air pollution is a significant problem in Pakistan, with major cities experiencing some of the highest levels of air pollution globally. The primary sources of air pollution include vehicle emissions, industrial activities, and the burning of fossil fuels. In cities like Lahore and Karachi, air quality often reaches hazardous levels, impacting public health and quality of life. The path to better sanitation and environmental health in Pakistan lies in addressing these issues comprehensively and equitably. While India and Pakistan's sanitation issues are severe, neighboring Bangladesh faces even more dire conditions. In the streets of Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh, scenes of public defecation and urination are common, reflecting a widespread lack of hygiene. Garbage and sewage often overflow in the streets, and makeshift shacks constructed from scrap materials serve as homes for families. The sight of homeless individuals lying next to piles of garbage, afflicted with lice and skin diseases, is distressingly common. The intense summer heat, with temperatures soaring to 40 or even 50 degrees Celsius, exacerbates these problems, turning the country into a stinking, scorching nightmare. The poor living conditions in Bangladesh have persisted for decades, not due to any inherent tendency of the people but because of severe poverty. Despite its relatively small size, Bangladesh has a population that exceeds 100 million, resulting in the highest population density in the world, approximately 1,165 people per square kilometer. This density is significantly higher than that of countries like China, with Bangladesh's density being about 7 to 9 times greater. The high population density exacerbates the issue of water resource scarcity. Rivers and water sources are often contaminated by domestic sewage, industrial wastewater, and agricultural runoff. This pollution severely impacts the quality of drinking water, posing significant health risks. Both the media and the government have highlighted the lack of adequate water infrastructure, with much of the domestic and industrial waste being discharged untreated into rivers, further compounding the water pollution problem. This pollution affects daily life and increases the risk of waterborne diseases. However, due to widespread poverty, the Bangladeshi government struggles to develop necessary water infrastructure. The shortage of resources extends beyond water management to other areas, such as public health. Garbage disposal systems are inadequate, leading to piles of refuse being dumped or burned and often discarded into rivers. The lack of public toilets and sanitation facilities contributes significantly to the poor hygiene conditions. Many areas lack sufficient public toilets, forcing women to relieve themselves in public, which raises serious concerns about dignity and hygiene. This situation results in the spread of various infectious diseases, which are more common in Bangladesh compared to countries with better sanitation systems. Healthcare in Bangladesh is also under severe strain. The number of hospitals and clinics is insufficient and unevenly distributed, making timely and effective medical care difficult to access. The shortage of medical equipment and medicines further limits the quality of healthcare services. As a result, the healthcare system often struggles to control the spread of infectious diseases and manage public health crises effectively. In summary, the poor conditions in Bangladesh are largely a result of poverty. The lack of financial resources hinders the development of public health infrastructure, leaving many aspects of daily life and sanitation in disarray.